This is a new top sports version of the Mercedes GLE in this new generation, the Mercedes-AMG GLE 63S, the 63 and the 63S model. We'll go into all the details, exterior and interior, and the power figure. And we will compare the bigger AMG brother here, the Mercedes GLS or Mercedes-AMG GLS 63. So, let's find out more together here on Autogefühl. Let's go! In the front of the GLE 63, or also the 63S, you can see those vertical fins right there, strong front grille, sensors are hidden behind the Mercedes logo. Then the LED daytime running light is all the same for all GLEs. LED is always standard, and then you can top it up if you want this multi-beam LED, for example. Here at the moment, those are the standard LED lights. Then a stronger lower part here as well, stronger spoiler in vehicle contrast color. Here the brilliant blue color, wow, this is also very screaming out color. A typical Thomas blue we have here on Autogefühl. Very typical for the Mercedes GLE is that we have the C-pillar which stands, let's say, against the wind. So this is a typical iconic shape for the GLE. And of course the GLE, if you compare it to the GLS, is a shorter car. And you can see here the handles have this contrast color, a little bit more fingerprints here on the motor show, but they will be cleaner otherwise. And standard, this one here comes with an air suspension in the AMG 63 model, but it's a little bit stiffer from a setup. And when you go faster than 120 kilometers or faster than 75 miles an hour, then it goes a little bit more down. And also when you go to a sports mode, then it also lowers a little bit to be more aerodynamic and so on. In this case, the wheel arches are painted in vehicle color, and it starts with 20-inch wheels with the 63 model. And the 63S model, 21-inch. Those ones are the optional 22-inch. Yeah, with the GLS we have 1 inch more, actually. You'll soon see that. But it's a pretty nice styling. And then the V8 badge right there, soon more under the hood. Contrasting mirror caps there. There's this night package also available where you have then everything, in black, for example, all the frames and so on. And this optional side step here. If it's useful or not, but it definitely catches more visual attention. And last but not least, the important technology detail is that they have an anti-roll stabilization here, which is not available for the non-AMG models, but 53 and 63 get this anti-roll stabilization for the, we have the GLE Coupe recently seen in the 53 version. So those ones then, GLE 63 and the GLE 53 with the Coupe, get this stabilization and for the anti-roll. It's actually quite helpful then when you go a little bit faster. A modern tail lamp signature here in this new generation of the GLE. And the same, of course, goes for the 63S model in this case. They have a special S right there. Well, those exhaust tips on the outside, they are indeed just for view. The real exhaust on the inside, that is different, for example, with BMW, who also have the X5M and the X6M here on stage on the Los Angeles Auto Show. You can also tune into those videos to compare them. But still a massive look, also with this diffuser style right there. So tell us, how do you like it? So we have a 4-liter V8 biturbo under the hood with either 571 or 612 horsepower in the S model. There we go. Well, the cover has an AMG cover, yes, but I think it could be a little bit more beautiful. Hand-built engine, so by one guy. There's also this badge. This guy is called, I think, Volker Haag. Yes, he built this engine. And acceleration figure 4 seconds or 3.8 seconds for the S model, then to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. All-wheel drive, of course, and it's a variable all-wheel drive, has a little rear-wheel bias as well, and then it can also shift the momentum, rear and front wheels depending on the situation. In the front, the GLS 63 AMG, and there's no S model because this one here already has the full horsepower output, just to say in advance. So in the front, has a little bit bigger front grille, and then, but again, this vertical fins right there, the same AMG styling. The multi-beam LED, so the more extensive LED option with the high beam function, come as standard with the GLS here. Of course, the price is also a little bit higher in general. And again, a very strong lower bumper here in the contrasting color to the white. So the GLS is 28 centimeters or 11 inches longer than the GLE. That counts for all the versions, of course, also here for the AMG. And what we have here, the side steps once again, then the night package. And wow, what about those wheels? Those are pretty unique, aren't they? So it starts already with an inch larger than the GLE, so it's 21 inch for the AMG model, and then optional 23 inch, the ones you can see here, but also different designs available if that's not your favorite one. Painted wheel arches as well, and above a speed of 120 kilometers or 75 miles an hour. Also again, 10 millimeters lower. Also, when you put in the sports mode, the air suspension, also standard here, goes lower. Well, the GLS is a little bit more upright right here, a little more space, a little bit longer. This will more have an effect on the interior, of course, especially if you appreciate this 7-seater. And that's actually, you know, the sense of the GLS. With the GLE, it's also optional, but doesn't make too much sense. But here with the GLS, yeah, it's then 7-seater all the way. So in the rear, the GLS, a little bit more upright window to get some more space for the last row, and of course, and also for the trunk. And then the tail ends are a little bit higher, but have the same basic design, and also those fake exhaust tips on the outer part. Those are also the same here for the AMG model, and they both come with a sports exhaust. And also the GLS gets this anti-roll stabilization that is exclusive to the AMG models. So there's no differentiation between 63 and 63S in the GLS. So this one directly comes with a 612 horsepower output for the 4-liter V8 bi-turbo engine. There it is. In this case also with a nice carbon fiber cover. And 4.2 seconds is the acceleration figure here. So that's 0.2 or 0.4 seconds difference than to the GLE, depending on if you compare to the 63 or the 63S. And all those new AMG engines here for the GLE and GLS, they both come with the MHEV system, so mild hybrid, and also with COD, so cylinder on demand. If that is really useful then for the fuel economy, we'll see about that when we're able to drive the cars. Let's move to the interior. Door closing sound. Yeah, it's quite okay, but actually we've just been to BMW and the X5 sounded better, actually, I have to say. So the interior of the door, this then is the leather red cover, also very beautiful and soft. Then this aluminum brush look right there, it's seat control also here. Big door pocket, illuminated AMG entry badges, and you can also get the steering wheel with a microfiber on the sides, with Dynamica microfiber, that's their brand. That's actually pretty fancy. You should go for that one then if you want a little bit more grip. Flat bottom, and the cruise control is right there on the left side, volume on the right side, and those ones will be controls for the suspension settings, and this one then here also for the driving mode at the steering wheel. Special AMG seats, they're quite voluminous as well. In this case with the 63 model, only available with animal skin. A normal GLE does offer a wide variety of choices, full article, leatherette, Dynamica on the inside, article leatherette on the outside, sportier version for example, or in Europe even a lot of fabric options. But yeah, probably throughout the sustainability together with the engine upgrade in this AMG version. So let's take a seat right there. And yeah, on camera it's really hard to control it always with the Mercedes cars if you control it here on the inside to get in the proper seating position. Yeah, a little bit like this. So a lot of people actually sit too much land backwards, you know, like this. And then like, how can you actually, you know, control the steering wheel or maybe like even the brakes properly, you know? You have to be able to hammer the brakes also not sit too far away from the steering wheel, also for the lower part. So yeah, pay attention to that, definitely. But it's a very cozy seating position. You're always in the GLE, one of the most comfortable SUVs out there. The seat here, as it is right now, is not built, let's say, for the tallest drivers, however, but you get along quite well. I'm 1m86 or 6'1", and that still leaves quite some headroom, even though we have the panoramic roof inbuilt here. There's also the option for a head-up display where you see this box. Unfortunately, those cars on the motor shows are not really properly powered, therefore we cannot see too much. There, with a dual screen setup here, which is standard then for the GLE, you will be able to see more of that in our full driving reviews, because we have a lot of those also for the GLE if you're more interested in what's going on right here. Interior overview, everything is really centered on this dual screen setup, and we can also show you something of that here. For example, right there you can use the lower touchpad, you can also use the touchscreen itself, but you can also use your right thumb, but not if the car is not properly powered. So this would be possible, and then it would be, you know, zoomed in, for example, and scrolled right there. Oh, for using tracks only, we're not on the track, but there are actually like even some, you know, telemetry options here for the AMG model and so on, and AMG performance gauges when the engine is on. Again, if you want to see more of the touchscreen, then definitely tune into a full review. Then this one here is quite, you know, screaming out those vents here, splitting in love or hate. Still manual climate unit with nice clicking sounds. Like that. Yeah, those buttons sometimes look a little bit weird when they're not properly aligned here. It's actually quite well done. The nice bright interior, so color-wise, this is also pretty cool. Brings some light in here, definitely. And the interesting thing is really, if you now compare this one here, the Mercedes with the X5, so GLE versus X5, before that BMW was lagging behind, but now when you look at some, you know, minor details here and there, actually the X5 has a better build quality on the interior. You know, realizing that especially when you're doing it one after each other. Cubby hole in the front here, heated and cooled cup holders, 12-volt power supply. I wonder where in this US spec is the USB charger in the front. I have a GLE diesel at the moment at home for a test ride, and there's a USB slot here, but missing in that one here. That's a little bit strange. So, in the middle console, a lot of black panel lacquer being used here. Not such a fan of that. This touchpad here again, up close, go back to the home menu, volume, GPS hotkey on the right side, left side for the driving modes. That will change how the car is driving. Told you that on the outside. Then just to rest your hand, and standard air suspension, you can also raise it up or down manually. There's also an off-road mode available where you go up to have a little bit more ground clearance, and you can also switch on or off this exhaust note. Then a split opening here for this armrest, and you can see there are USB-C supplies then, and the right one is for connecting the smartphone like it is at the moment, and the left one just for charging. So getting in the rear of the GLE, here we go, and there's now in this new generation more legroom than before, plenty of legroom. And this is also a big difference if you compare, for example, the BMW X5 or then GLE Coupe to the X6. Well, GLE Coupe has a little bit shorter wheelbase, so the difference is not that huge then, but here especially. But on the other hand, it's a little bit less comfortable to sit here, and like in the, you know, than in the X5, because this bench here falls a little bit backwards. Yeah, I mean, you can put an electric control, by the way, here, this rear part a little bit more straight. This is possible, but the lower area, the seating bench, that one is fixed. I mean, you can slide forward or backward. That's also definitely a cool function. So increase the trunk here a little bit, or then again increase the legroom. But then again, my point is that it folds backwards from front to the rear. And that's, you know, not so cozy to sit in. But still, it's very comfortable in here. So talking comparing on a high level. Headroom, well, it's getting quite close, because we have this panoramic roof in here. If you want more headroom in the rear, again, it won't be necessary for most tall adults, but if you want more, then you would leave out this panoramic roof. Other than that, what we have here, I mean, the electric controls are definitely quite fancy. This GLE also available as a 7-seater, by the way, if you like one. Not sure if it's available for the AMG. They didn't say that. But will anyone go for that? Not quite sure. Then you would rather go for the GLS again. Here, some cup holders. You can also use this one here as a ski hatch. one like that. And then in the middle part, you have a climate unit. If you like one, there's also an option then to have the 4-zone AC in the lower part. Well, recently I've also seen some chargers in here, but in this case, obviously not with this spec. Feeling like a saint here, right? You know, with the light from the upper top. Saint Thomas, there is one, right? Pretty famous one. So let's open the trunk. And here we go. So pretty well usable, definitely. This lower part offers some more space. For example, also for a replacement tire if you like one. If you have the air suspension, you can also lower that one just a little bit. Here on the left side, you have just this light. Again, good dimensions. And on the right side, and if you want to flip the seats, you can use those buttons, and it goes all the way electric. That's a quite fancy function, but I think a manual control is just easier. You can also get one. This is an option here. There we go. Maybe it's even helpful more when it's 7-seater. You see it goes almost all flat. And then you can also go backwards with that to put them up again. It always looks cool on camera, doesn't it? Now let's get inside the GLS. Oh, the door handle here. I mean, some of their prototype cars here, but there's like a gap here at the door handle. You know, at Autogefühl, we pay attention to every detail. Yeah, but I mean, you have to say on the motor shows, sometimes like hand-built first cars, but we still show that. So then, interior of the door, it looks almost the same as in the GLE. In this case, we have here the carbon fiber inlets. You can also get the Mercedes sound system, huge door pocket, and interesting is that here's the one without the dynamic car, but with the microfiber is actually better. Carbon fiber inlet here, also dual widescreen setup. Then those seats, they have some Alcantara inserts here at least. That's pretty neat. And also different styling, different colors are available, of course, for the seats. One more look at here when Holger shows you that seat, but the same seat form and in the GLE. So the seating comfort, of course, take a test seating here as well. And it's pretty much the same. So when you're sitting here in the front, you don't really feel such a difference. Maybe the hood is a little bit more, higher than in the GLE, but it's not that it would directly say it's not. There's a huge difference in the GLE and the GLS. Yeah, again, I think the hood is the one you maybe see that first. Again, here, plenty of headroom left, although there's panoramic roof. But again, if you sit in the front, they share all of the parts. Just a quick comparing look, because we have a dark setup here. That's again not special to GLS versus GLE, but just you can see how it looks like when it's in the dark, also in the lower part. The bright one always gives light to the interior, but the carbon fiber is actually quite cool. However, the lower part here again is this shiny piano lacquer, which again is collecting a lot of fingerprints. And if we take a look here at the rear of the GLS, easy entry, and of course you have even more legroom, and there's also a significant gain in legroom if you compare it to the predecessor GLS. You will feel that, so that's like even as I would be driving, when you have all the way back this bench, and you can also slide it forward electronically like this. So that's a pretty comfortable function, but even if it's all the way in the front, then it will still be ample. So that's actually pretty cool, and also nice comfortable seating position, but it folds backward the same way as it goes with the GLE. There's also this option that you have this captain seating here. So this is the bench that goes all the way through. Captain seats are also available, but they have the same form. This is different, for example, with the BMW X7, where the captain seats option are more elaborate and upright, but then again don't fold flat. The good thing here is, no matter if you go captain seats or seat bench, you can always fold this one here all the way flat, as we've just seen also. The middle part you can fold down. Here you can also put controlling iPad here, but that's an option. Inductive charging pad also for the rear, interesting, and some more cubby holes. But you don't have to go for this option then. And then when you, that's very interesting, go like this, also electrically. This one would be the best entry towards the rear. And what we do here right now, I will already set the driving part, on the driver's side here, the bench to the most forward position, and see how that one then plays out in the rear. So now let's get in this third seating row. See here, the seat is all the way then up, and I've left the bench here all the way forward. I could still sit on this bench then with all the way forward, but I also left an angle where I could comfortably sit. And now I get some warnings from my tailor again. And let's get inside here. That's, yeah, I mean, it's quite okay. And if I slide behind this bench here where I could still sit in the front, it's getting very close. So, you know, I have to spread my legs then a little bit. So, yeah, that's really very close. I wouldn't say it fits well. It fits directly. Headroom-wise, it's also okay. But again, it's, I mean, you can sit here for shorter, for short term, also with, you know, a little bit more adults. So like this, when you put up the head restraint. But again, it's somewhat limited, definitely. Especially here with the legroom. If you come in a little bit closer than here, you see when I put my legs to the outer, it works. But when I put my legs straight, then I do hit this back here, although the bench is all the way forward. Yeah, that's how it is. 2 USB supplies, by the way, here also for the rear. Also for the, you know, so we have 2 USB-C supplies on both sides. That's actually, you know, quite fancy, definitely. So, and they thought about ISOFIX here at the last seating row, so you can then install 1, 2, 3, 4 child seats via ISOFIX here. That's, I think, quite handy. So if you drive a little bit, you know, smaller people or maybe with children, that's pretty flexible in here. So when we open the trunk right here with the Mercedes GLS, it's the same for AMG and non-AMG model. Of course, you have a longer trunk length in general. Here at the moment, 6 and 7 seats are folded flat. Underneath, some more storage. This is a big difference here. Just longer trunk than in the GLE. This is, of course, a little bit limiting because they want some armrests here for the 6 and 7 seats. And then you can control it also here with the third seating row. You can put it up and you see there's actually still some decent trunk left, even if the last row is up. I also have the feeling that's a little bit longer than the BMW X7, for example, which would be, you know, the new alternative to that. And there's also this button saying all, and when you press that one, then everything should go as it is right now here. All goes flat. Oh, Alfa Romeo press conference with a very loud film in the background. I'm not sure if you hear that, but that's also the reason why we use those big microphones on motor shows, that we isolate the sound for you. Here, this now all the way flat, and then of course, you know, way long area. You can even sleep there if you put the mattress on that. So that's the good thing in here about the GLS. And because it looks so cool, I will also use this button once again to put them all up again. So let's see. This all button, and here we go. Magic. Yeah. So here we go with our conclusion. Well, some other guys are also checking out the cars here on the motor show. This one here, the GLS, definitely the bigger one. If you need those 7-seater option or just a little bit more trunk space. In this new generation, it also, you know, feels quite agile to drive actually, and it will be even more in the AMG version. So the question is really, do you have any problems with parking space with the GLS? In Europe, it gets a little bit more complicated. It's easier than to drive with the GLE. Of course, even more with the GLC. It's even better than in the narrow European streets. But definitely the new GLS generation and the GLE, they are quite similar, especially like the front cockpit and so on. And the driving is also not too different. I wonder if there will be more difference than when they are in those AMG versions. Or this is also pretty similar. We'll find out more about that later on. The GLE, of course, for US purposes, it's not such a huge car then. For European purposes, yeah, it's already quite full-size-ish. It is a little bit more agile to drive, yes. It also looks maybe a little bit better because you have a little bit more fluent line, especially in the rear. Again, from the interior, they don't have such a big difference here, especially in this new GLE generation. More legroom than before. Also, if you think about the other premium competitors, really leading in the legroom segment here. However, then again, this falling bench, you have to be aware of that too. So, I think, price-wise, yes, the GLS will be even more expensive. So I would rather go with the GLE because I don't really need the space of a GLS. But the question is then, for your big family, for example, or for even more luggage, then you're a little bit more flexible. So both cars come quite close in a way. Also power-wise, told you earlier, there's no S version here of the GLS, but there's an S version for the GLE. Yeah, if you go for the 63 or 63S, This is usually a little bit customer rip-off, to be honest, because you pay so much more money even just for the S version, just to get a little bit more horsepower, a little bit more equipment here and there. So I think you should really decide between the 63 models GLE or the GLS. What do you think, What's the right one for you? Please leave me your feedback. And it was also very interesting to compare today when we think about the BMW X5 or X6M, because we've seen that interior-wise, BMW is leading at the moment, their interior build quality-wise now. They also have a completely different style. The style of the Mercedes from the interior, a little bit more sensual, definitely. The BMW style, a little bit more drawn back and sportier. Also, the seating choices are way sportier. So it's also interesting, this market position where Mercedes more goes into this like classic comfort level, and also here with the air suspension, whereas BMW goes more in the sporty direction and goes for the M model standard with the normal adaptive non-air suspension. So pretty interesting what they do, and also interesting for you to see and definitely compare also those other videos we have here for you today. Sad that they don't offer any animal skin alternatives here in the top sports models, whereas the choices they usually have at Mercedes are really awesome. Power-wise, this one will be more than you ever need, definitely. It will be more fun to drive, because of the acceleration. But there are also, other interesting models. For example, those 3-liter 6-cylinders are actually pretty decent. We've driven the 450, so a GLE 450 would be a nice one. There will be a petrol PHEV coming up as well. And we've already driven the diesel PHEV, which would also very interesting, definitely. With a big battery, they have put in one of the biggest for a PHEV car on the market at the moment. So, a lot more to hear and see about the GLE and both of the GLS. Tune into those videos, linked in the video description and also in the pinned comment. And now please leave me your comment as well. Which one is the one for you today? GLS or GLE in general? And especially if you think about the AMG versions we've shown to you here today. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode.